What is up, everybody? Welcome to the dungeon. I'm here to do your weekly tarot reading for all the zodiac signs. Keep in mind these readings are general and they may not resonate with everybody. Also remember to take into consideration can't talk tonight. Please also take into consideration your moon and rising sign as well. And if you are one of those people that's a little more focused on love, take into consideration your Venus location as well. So what I'll be doing is I'll be pulling one card for the general energy and another card for the love energy. Everybody wants to know about love, but not everybody has love in their life. So it's good to have an overall picture. So let's go ahead and get started with Aries. All right, let's see what's going on with Aries over the next week. What kind of energy will Aries encounter over the next week? What's going on with Aries? What kind of energy will Aries encounter over the next week? What's going on with Aries? What is going on with Aries? All right, Aries, you have the Eight of Cups. So here with the Eight of Cups, you're in a situation where you feel the need to remove yourself. There is a lot of confusion or stress or anxiety that is involved in this situation, and it's just very uncomfortable for you. It's really knocking you off balance, and you don't want to deal with it. You want to just walk away, and depending on your situation, this is probably the best action. Say if there is some sort of conflict, it's best for you to walk away, and especially, I think if you stay engaged in the conflict, it will definitely increase and go somewhere you don't want it to. So you may have to, swallow that pride and walk away to avoid situations such as that. Some of you are having a very difficult time moving on from this. You don't want to. You don't want to let go. You're having a hard time letting go of what has happened. And it's really getting to you and starting to affect the way you perceive the world. So be careful with that, because, you could have trouble. Your inability to let go of something difficult that has happened is definitely going to handicap you in the future. Like you won't even have a leg to stand on, if you will, in regards to moving forward, because you're stuck on this. So you gotta let it go to move forward. Now let's see what's going on in your love life, Aries. What is going on in Aries' love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Aries encounter over the next week? What is going on with Aries? What kind of energy will Aries encounter? Aries, you have the Three of Swords here. So you and your person are involved in a separation. This could be simply you guys are like in separate areas of wherever, city, state, country. Either way, you're not together, and or a severance of the entire relationship. So there is definitely some distance going on here. It is definitely causing some heartbreak. And I don't think it's wanted. I don't think it's something that you want. I feel like there's a lot of stress and heartache that's been going on in regards to your partner and your love life. Excuse me. And that stuff is hard for you to walk away from. It's very hard for you to walk away from this person. But you feel deep down inside that you need to, because of all the heartache that this is causing. And it's not just you, you're both suffering in this. And it's like, do you move forward and continue to, torture each other? Or do you walk away from the situation? So some of you may be getting fed up with the distance, very frustrated with this. It's causing a lot of stress and anxiety. Some relationships will end. I mean, I just got to be blunt. That is going to happen in many situations, relationships and situationships. Oh my gosh, you guys, sorry. I don't know why I'm suddenly sneezing. Make sure I don't have any mucus hanging out my nose. Alright. If you are single, you are working on recovering from a heartbreak, a breakup, or whatever. You're having a hard time letting go. So this is one of those situations where I was describing, like, if you have, when you're having such a hard time letting go of something, it handicaps you from moving forward. And you're having a hard time letting this go. So it's definitely important for you to work through these feelings and work on your healing before you try to jump into something else. All right. With Taurus. Let's see what's going on with Taurus over the next week. What is up with Taurus over the next week? What kind of energy will Taurus encounter over the next week? What's going on with Taurus? What kind of energy will Taurus encounter over the next week? What is going on with Taurus? Alright, Taurus, you have the Five of Pentacles here. So you may be feeling as if you are going out without a lot of things. There's a lot of things in your life that you may feel like you need that you don't have. And you may be seeing other people that do have this, and you may be fighting back some envy. But, you know, be careful what you wish for, because something may look one type of way, but it could be another. So, like, say somebody seems to be, say if you're working in a group and somebody seems to be getting more projects than others, getting picked out more to do things, and perhaps you're jealous and you feel like you're being overlooked. Meanwhile, this person who is being repeatedly chosen is completely overworked and overburdened and just overwhelmed, stressed out. So it's like, it may look one way on the outside. It may look like this person is happy and successful and getting everything they want. Meanwhile, they are doing everything they can to continue functioning. So be careful what you wish for. You know, like, it may not be as pretty as it seems. This may also make you feel rejected in some ways. Like, maybe you're not good enough, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think that's the case. I just think that the situation isn't in alignment with you at this moment. I can't say whether or not it will be. I'm looking at the current energy. Energy can linger or shift rapidly. But for the moment, you know, you're not feeling too good. You're not feeling too confident about yourself and what it is that you can achieve and what you have going on in your life. So that's something you're going to be actively working against, is this negative energy that's trying to take over your mind. Let's see what's going on in your love life. What is going on in Taurus's love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Taurus encounter over the next week? What is going on in Taurus's love life over the next week? We have the Page of Pentacles. So some of you may be just starting to get to know somebody, very early stages, but it still seems like this is somebody that you would like to have something long-term with, or at least more than a one-night stand with. You'd like to get to know this person. Like, you feel like you have more in common than just, say, like a physical attraction. You know, you'll connect on a mental level, and also in terms of your goals and aspirations. So kind of excited about getting to know this person more. But I think some of you may be feeling insecure. You may be worrying that you are going to be rejected or they don't like you. You know, it's the early stages, so there's a lot of uncertainty there, and you're second guessing yourself. If you are in a long-term relationship, I feel like maybe you and your person have been going through a difficult time, and have kind of been trying to restart, you know, like kind of repair the damage and move on from this situation. But it doesn't seem to be working out the way you would like to. And in some situations, this is what some people call a false start, where you think something is going to start and then it doesn't. So with some situations, you may think that you and your partner are moving on from something, getting back together, if you will, but then it doesn't work out. You know, so this feeling of rejection comes back in. There's something that this relationship lacks that you are trying to integrate into it because you love this person. You know, it's not like you want to just leave them. You want to try to get what you desire from a relationship from this person. You don't necessarily want to go looking somewhere else. So this could definitely, you may definitely be having a lot of insecurity about this whole situation. And if you are single, you're definitely struggling with this insecurity. You are letting it get you to where you may be starting to feel hopeless. Like, you know, maybe you've had multiple situations where you were talking to somebody, you connected, and then it didn't go anywhere. And so you may be kind of starting to get a little negative, like expecting this every time. You know, be careful with that, because sometimes we can manifest what we think, especially if we're thinking about it a lot. So if you're constantly thinking about how, you know, things quote unquote never work out, etc., etc., well, of course they're never going to work out, because you've already have this defeatist attitude. So that's something you're going to be struggling with this week. Okay, let's move on to my Gemmy Gem Gems. What is going on with Gemini? What kind of energy will Gemini encounter over the next week? What is going on with Gemini? What kind of energy will Gemini encounter over the next week? Gemini, you have the Justice card. So you may be dealing with contracts over the next week. Be sure you read the details, the fine print. You don't want to let somebody get one over on you because you're in a hurry. You don't want to take the time to read because that's a really long ask. It's a lot of stuff to read, and some people may kind of put on this pressure for you to hurry up and like sign an agreement. Don't let that get to you. Take your time to read this stuff. They can slow their roll. You're at a point where there's a very important decision you need to make. And you, in some cases, you may feel like you need to choose between your head and your heart, what your head wants and what your heart wants. But in other situations, you're trying to find some sort of balance. Like, let's find some sort of way that we can integrate both aspects of this, both aspects of both what you want and what you need, what is realistic for you into this situation. That way you don't really have to choose between the two. You get the best of both worlds, right? So that's something that you may be actively trying to figure out, is how to get the best of both worlds, because they're both looking good. You know, they both have their positives and negatives, and you just want to find a balance between both of them, kind of like dark and light. Okay, let's see what's going on in your love life. Gemini, what is going on in your love life? Gemini, you have the Queen of Pentacles here. So, you may be really focused on preparing and providing for yourself and or your family. I think work and production is extremely important to you, and I use production as very broadly. So creating anything, basically, that's kind of how I'm using it, creation. So there are things that you are working on creating for the benefit of your relationship and or your family. Some of you may be actually, this is more general than a relationship. Some of you may be taking some sort of classes or whatnot, or going to school. Okay. Just like kind of furthering your knowledge on what is going on in relation. So some of you may actually be taking the time to study what it is and what it means to have a healthy relationship. So many of us don't know what that looks like, and you are trying to figure it out because you want to have a healthy relationship. You want to make it work, and you definitely want to make it work with this person. You know, you don't take things lightly with this person. If you're in a long-term relationship, yeah, you take it very seriously, and you want to make sure that you and your partner have everything you need. So you're really focused on making sure that y'all have everything you need, and not really coming to this from a place of naivety, or I guess you could say innocence. Not really thinking very clearly about the seriousness that comes with the relationships. We get so caught up in the flighty, in love feeling. You don't think about like the work it takes to maintain a relationship and keep it successful. And you know, these are things that a lot of people learn over time, and in relationships as you get to learn your person. So that's very important to you right now. If you are committed, this is already going on. If you're dating, this is what you're working on. You're working on to develop this with this person. If you are single, not dating, no interest, you are at a point in your life where you are trying to prepare yourself for that. You want to make sure you're in a stable place. Like, you're not the type of person that wants to just jump at love when it first comes. You want to be in a stable place. You want to be in a stable state of mind, because you want to come to this from a healthy manner. So you may be working on self-healing, self-help books, you know, furthering your education, learning more about dealing with your emotions, and coping with them in ways that are not self-destructive or destructive to the people around you. Okay. Let's move on to Cancer. What is going on with Cancer? What is going on with Cancer over the next week? What kind of energy will Cancer encounter? What is going on with my Cancers over the next week? What kind of energy will they encounter? What is going on with Cancer? What kind of energy will Cancer encounter over the next week? Cancer, you have the Ten of Wands. So you are feeling overworked, overburdened. You have a lot on your plate. You have a lot to think about. You're very stressed out. things just seem to keep piling on top of each other, and you're just having a hard time making it through the day, honestly, much less the week. You know, it's very, very difficult, but you're pushing through it. You're pushing through this difficulty, this feeling of being burdened, of things coming from all angles, and I mean, you're trudging. You're barely making it, but you are making it. You're making it through. Let's see what is going on in regards to your love life. What's going on in Cancer's love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Cancer encounter over the next week? What's going on in Cancer's love life? Cancer, you have the Eight of Wands. So there may be a lot of communication going on between you and your partner or potential partner. I think that there's some stuff, well, I know that there's some stuff that's really been bothering you, and it's something that, you know, you got to bring to light, and that you have to have a conversation about before you can move forward, because it's kind of getting in the way of you moving forward. It's not something, I don't think it's something that you want to feel or be going through, but it's there, and you can't deny it, and you know you got to deal with it to move forward. So there's a conversation that needs to happen between you and your partner to discuss some things. This goes with either a long-term commitment or just dating. You know, there's a conversation that needs to happen to kind of discuss where we're going in the future. If you're dating, okay, where's this relationship going? If you're already committed, okay, where are we taking our relationship next? Like, are we moving? Like, there's something that you guys are doing collectively that y'all need to discuss how you're going to move forward with this. In some situations, you know, you're not, like, your love life is not making any progress at all. You're not connecting with anybody. You may be trying to, but it's like nothing is moving forward, and it's really frustrating. I think it's really starting to get to you because you just really want to have you just really want to be able to have a conversation with somebody and to talk to somebody, and for it to mean something and not just be a temporary thing. You know, you want it to actually go somewhere. So this could be very frustrating, and then, like, on top of all the other stuff you're dealing with, it adds to that. You know, it's just another thing. It's just another thing to bother you. It's just another thing to weigh you down. So you're letting it get to you, but trying not to. You're trying to force your way through. You're trying to actively prevent it from making you lose heart. All right, let's see what's going on with my Leos. What is going on with Leo over the next week? What is going on with Leo? What kind of energy will Leo encounter over the next week? What's going on with Leo? What kind of energy will Leo encounter over the next week? What's going on with Leo? Leo, we have the Eight of Wands. So you may be waiting on a phone call or a message in regards to something really important in your life, and you can't really do anything to move forward in this area until you get this information, until you have this conversation. So your forward momentum could be delayed a little bit, which is extremely frustrating to you, because I feel like this is something that you have been consistently encountering. You know, it's like things can't be resolved as quickly as you would like it to. because you may be waiting on somebody else to contact you. It's like you're at a point where you can't initiate the contact. It's on the other person to decide whether or not to have this conversation. So, I mean, this could be like waiting to hear back from a job interview or something like this. You're kind of on the edge of your seat waiting to know what's going on. Some of you may actually be actively involved in these conversations with other people and trying to come to mutual understandings about what is going on in your life, in their life, and how it's going, how your lives are going to intersect and have an influence on each other, and what y'all are going to do about it if you don't like the influence it has. So there's definitely a lot of communication that needs to happen here. But unfortunately, some of you are waiting on somebody else to reach out for this communication to even like occur. Now let's see what's going on in your love life, Leo. What is going on in Leo's love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Leo encounter in their love life over the next week? What is going on with my Leos? Leo, you have the Sun. So you are going to come into some understanding about your relationship or love life, something that you have been confused about. You will be enlightened. You'll finally have that aha moment. Maybe if you've been waiting for a conversation with someone, either it comes through and you learn something about the situation, it illuminates this uncertainty that you have been having, and helps you how to decide how to move forward. So the truth will come out. It's just a matter of when, you know. And again, this is a situation where you are waiting on somebody else to initiate this conversation or encounter or whatever. It's like there's something that you need to know about somebody else or from somebody else that you don't know now. And it's like once you are able to figure this out and know this, you'll know how to move forward. So you kind of feel a little stuck here. Some of you will actually have this conversation over the next week, and you will gain that illumination. It'll give you a different perspective on your love life, and you'll be able to move forward from there, whether you move forward together or separately. Some of you are starting to understand, those who are single and not dating, you're starting to understand things that have happened in the past. So perhaps, you know, if you have struggled with the way things have turned out in previous relationships, you're starting to gain an understanding of why it happened that way. And with this understanding comes an acceptance that is actually much needed, because this is something that you could have been fighting to understand for quite some time. And then something's going to happen. Maybe somebody will say something and it gives you an aha moment, and you finally understand, and it allows you to move forward in some way in regards to your love life. So what's going on with my Leos? What's up with Virgo? What is up with my Virgo? What's up with Virgo over the next week? What kind of energy will Virgo encounter over the next week? What is going on with Virgo? What's going on with Virgo over the next week? Virgo, you have the Ace of Cups for your general energy. So you are going to be you're going to be very sensitive over the next week. I know, you can't stand it. You can't stand it. Very sensitive, potentially even very emotional. Your feelings are extremely intense, whatever you're feeling. Anger, happiness, you know, it's intense. Everything is intensified. Everything that you encounter. Um, I feel like you are going to be dealing with a lot of new things. A lot of new things that you care about and that you're excited about. Some of you may even be sharing, sharing some sort of affection towards other people. So, you know, I'm reading general energy, so this could be like family or friends. Of course, it could be in your love life too. I'm just not focused on that right now. But you are dealing with a lot of emotions. You are feeling very sensitive and very emotional over the next week. I'm not entirely sure why. um, that is going to be different for everybody, you know, because this is general energy. But either way, your heartstrings are being tugged at. Let's see what's going on in Virgo's love life. What is going on in Virgo's love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Virgo encounter over the next week? What's going on in Virgo's love life? What's going on in Virgo's love life over the next week? Virgo, you have the Hanged Man in regards to your love life. So things are kind of stuck. They're at a standstill, you know, between you and your partner or the person you're seeing. If you are already in a committed relationship, perhaps you and your partner have been dealing with some sort of conflict, and it's definitely put a lot of distance between you guys. Perhaps you're not communicating as much, and it really is putting you in a place where you really need to look at things from a different angle and a different perspective. I think that's very, very important. Because there's something about the situation that you're not seeing, because honestly, I think you're just too caught up in your head and what it is that you want and what you desire, etc., etc. You really need to be empathetic, put yourself into somebody else's shoes, and try to understand where they're coming and why they feel the way they feel. If you are able to do this, this will definitely lead to a conversation that could bring you and your partner closer. However, in some cases, there just may be no progress at all. Like if you're trying to date somebody or see somebody, you know, it's just coming to a standstill and nothing has happened. And again, it's very important to see this situation from a different perspective than you have been viewing it, because I feel like you've been viewing the situation very negatively, and you know, it has kept you from understanding and even seeing certain aspects that are contributing to what's going on. So you definitely need to take the time to sit out and, you know, think about that. If you are single, you know, there's really not going to be any progress made in your love life right now. Like nothing's going to happen. I don't think you're going to be meeting anybody anytime soon. It's at a standstill. And at this point, during this period of no interest, it's really important to kind of work on yourself, possibly even review the actions you have taken in your past relationships from a different perspective, understanding it differently so that you can learn how to deal with things differently in the future. But so this could be the energy of a lot of self-reflection in regards to your past relationships. And you're very emotional about this. You're feeling extremely like emotional. It's very uncomfortable for you because you don't like to feel. Don't like to feel. So it's very uncomfortable for you, but at the same time, like that's part of the problem. We spend so much time avoiding emotions and feelings that it's almost incapable for you to see things from other people's perspective. And I feel like some of you may be starting to recognize this through this period of inaction. which definitely will help you moving forward. All right, let's see. Hello from San Diego. Thank you for showing up and showing love. All right, or hello to San Diego. Thanks for showing up. All right, let's move on to Libra. What is going on with Libra over the next week? What kind of energy will Libra encounter over the next week? What is going on with Libra over the next week? What kind of energy will Libra encounter over the next week? What's going on? Libra, you have the Tower. So something unexpected is going to happen. Either something is going to happen or a conversation will occur. You're going to have a different understanding over a situation that completely, it changes your perspective. You guys, perspective is everything. And it could just be one small shift of perspective that can completely change your thought processes on something. So this may be happening. You may be finally understanding something, and this could come through either negatively or positively. And what I mean by that is it could be triggered by a negative event or a positive event. Either way, the event is unexpected. You don't expect this to happen, and it really catches you off guard. And if it's something that is negative, it's really disrupting your equilibrium. But this needs to happen. It needs to happen. Like, this may be in regards to a situation that you've had difficulty making any decisions about what you're going to do, etc., etc. Something in life is going to happen that kind of forces that on you, forces that decision, that understanding. It forces you in the direction that you need to go in, that you've been confused about whether or not you should go in. See what's going on in your love life, Libra. What is going on in Libra's love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Libra encounter in their love life? Libra, you have the Magician here. Those of you who are single and not dating, you don't have any love interests or anything, you're really trying to manifest this. Like, you're really putting it out there, you know, energetically, that you want to meet somebody. You may even be actively putting yourself out there on the apps, you know. You're just trying to make something happen. You're trying to meet somebody, you know. You want to date. You want a connection. I feel like those of you who are in a committed relationship may be actively working to achieve something. However, like together, but however, I feel like there's a situation here where one person is manipulating another to do something, to make them do something. There's not everything is being seen, not everything is being said, and the things that are being said are to manipulate the other person's perspective in order to get what it is that you want. Some of you should be careful of somebody else trying to do this to you. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, but it is very important to keep in mind for those who have a lot of uncertainty in your relationships. You know, just, I'm not trying to make you paranoid or anything. Just kind of beware that, like, somebody may actually be trying to fuck with your head, honestly. Like, you know, if you're having issues with the person you're with, you really should probably ask yourself that. Like, what is it about this that's causing a problem? You know, there's something there that you're not quite seeing. And I think that there may actually be something that happens that illuminates this to you, that helps you see that, like, okay, wait a second, this person has been fucking with my head and manipulating me and almost like using me as a puppet, like they're my marionette, or like, you know, they're controlling me. Saying and doing whatever they can to get what they want. Or this could be you. Either way, this could be somewhat trifling behavior. Again, you know, you and your partner may be working collectively to obtain something, achieve something, bring something into reality. So there's that. But there's also this risk of dealing with somebody manipulating you in order for them to get what they want and out of the relationship. So keep that in mind. Let's see what's going on with Scorpio. What is going on with Scorpio over the next week? What kind of energy will Scorpio encounter over the next week? What's going on with my Scorpios? Okay, I don't need that many cards. I just need one. Let's just get one card and just see what's going on with Scorpio over the next week. What's going on with Scorpio? Scorpio, you have the moon. So with the moon, you may be really confused about what's going on right now in your life, about how you want to move forward in your life. There's just a lot of uncertainty, a lot of confusion. There are things that you're not quite seeing about the situation, and you know that. You feel like you need to gain some sort of clarity before you can move forward in the situation. Some of you may be going within, kind of seeking guidance in your dreams. Perhaps you're meditating, just trying to get in touch with your intuition to gain some sort of enlightenment, to get out of this confusion that you're feeling. In some situations, something may happen that reveals the truth to you, something that's been hidden from you. In some situations, it will come out, you know. But I think in most, you know, you're going to be really confused and uncertain about what's going on, and seeking a deeper understanding. Let's see what's going on in your love life. And like, you may not really know how to feel. Your emotions are all over the place, but you don't really know how you should be feeling, which emotions are valid, because there are just things about the situation you're not seeing. All right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Scorpio. What's going on in Scorpio's love life over the next week? This is very interesting. This doesn't typically happen. We have the moon. Again, so you got two moons. You got the moon in general and the moon in your love life. So yeah, you're dealing with a lot of confusion. There's a lot of stuff you don't understand about what's going on. Some of you may feel like your partner is hiding something from you, and you may be trying to talk to them about it, trying to get them to tell you what's up, and they may still be, you know, acting like there's nothing going on. But you have a feeling there's something going on. You have a feeling that they're holding back. There's something they're not telling you about, and you want to know. You want to know what that is, and you may be trying to get them to tell you. They may not be telling you, so you may be kind of trying to do your own research, if you will. You may be engaging in things to try to figure out what this is without the person knowing. Like, okay, since you won't tell me, I'm gonna figure out on my own, you know? So this could be a situation where, like, you suspect your partner is communicating with somebody else or seeing somebody else, and they're like, no, 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 you're crazy. But then you decide to do something like, okay, you think I'm crazy. All right, let's see how crazy I am. And so you may try to, like, say if you get on social media or whatever, you may try to do a fake account and communicate with this person to figure out what's going on, you know, trifling. But I mean, you know, your reasoning is they're not telling you what's going on. They're acting suspicious, and they could be screwing you over. And if they're screwing you over, you can't let that happen. But you don't know if that's happening. So it's like you don't want to act based on that thought. But in a way you are. You're being sneaky about it. Like you're trying not to jump to conclusions about something before you do your research. So you're trying to do your research now. You know, they're not opening up. You're trying to do your research. You're trying to see what's really going on here because you know that there's something that's not being said. If you are single and you're not dating anybody or anything like that, I really feel like you have a lot of confusion in regards to this. Like, you have a lot of confusion in regards to, like, why you haven't met anybody, why you haven't, you know, connected with anybody, why you haven't connected with anybody in the past. And you're really trying to figure it out. And you know what? I'll give you a little hint. This may not be the only reason, but I'm pretty sure it is very influential on the situation. You don't open up. You don't show your emotions. It's not something that you're super open about. You feel super deeply. Like, so it could come off to people who don't understand Scorpio ways or even think about astrology, you know. It may come off that you're extremely indifferent and that you don't care. And then you'll have these moments where you quote unquote freak out and the person's really cut off guard and doesn't understand. And it's like, but it makes complete sense to you because you've been feeling some type of way for a while, but they haven't known it because you're hiding it real good, you know. So there's this understanding that you are beginning to have, that you come off that way, you know, through the process of what did somebody tell me it was? I spoke to a Scorpio a while ago and I was talking about how they always have their guard up and whatnot. And the person said it was like for self-preservation. You know, so I really feel like you're just so emotional, intensely emotional, that that's what it is. You're trying to protect yourself from being hurt because everything you feel is super, super strong. But in that process, you could come off cold and like you're completely disinterested. And then after coming off cold and disinterested and then randomly having a blow up or freaking out, that's just not going to go off over well. Like, hey, you don't even care anyway. Why are you acting like this? You know, so you really may be trying to do some self-reflection and go within to really see, you know, how you've contributed to this problem. So that's good. A lot of people don't think to do that. A person with accountability is a wonderful person to find. Someone who's willing to take accountability. All right, let's see what's going on with Sagittarius. What kind of energy will Sagittarius encounter over the next week? What is going on with Sagittarius over the next week? What kind of energy will Sagittarius encounter over the next week? What is going on with Sagittarius? I just need one card. What kind of energy will Sagittarius face or encounter over the next week? Sagittarius, you have the Seven of Wands. You may be involved in a lot of conflict over the next week. You're feeling very defensive, feeling like you got to fight all the time. Very, very feisty. Very, very feisty. In some situations, this isn't necessarily aggressive. You may just kind of be very defensive. Perhaps you are super sensitive and taking anything anybody has to say about you personally or negatively, or and just being extremely defensive, and you're like ready to fight. You're ready to argue. You're ready to pop off. You're ready to do you. You are doing you. So there are people that will suffer the consequences of crossing Sagittarius. You took that risk when you did it. Same goes to whoever has done the same with Scorpio. Like when the chaos comes out, when the aggression comes out, when the popping off comes out, it's just kind of like, well, don't poke the bear. Don't poke the bear. You know, some people just, they have a temper that's vicious, and those two signs have tempers that are vicious. All right, let's see what's going on in Sagittarius's love life. What is going on in Sagittarius's love life over the next week? Sagittarius, you have the Ten of Wands. So you're really starting to feel burdened by your relationship, or, you know, the person you're seeing, situationship. You may be feeling like you're putting all the work in, you're doing everything, and the other person is taking advantage of you. And this is really getting to you. It's really getting to you. And I believe that you are being antagonistic, very spiteful, very argumentative, because it's so unfair. You feel like it's so unfair, and no matter how much you try to have a conversation about this, it seems like things aren't changing. Some of you may feel that way right now. You're just burned out on the work it takes to put into a relationship, and you're burned out on putting in most of the work. Basically, you may want to just walk away from this situation because it's too much. It's overwhelming, you know. The responsibilities that come with being in this relationship, they're heavy. They're heavy, and it's very difficult for you, and you're very edgy as a result, because it's like, in some situations, you know that this is something that you need to work through. Like, this is something you want to stay with your partner wants to stay with you. This is something that has to be addressed and worked through, because relationships should have an equal give and take. And if somebody is just taking, it's going to be problematic. And, you know, it would be good to have a conversation about it, to try to let somebody know how you're feeling, how they make you feel. If you are single, just in general, like, you feel like relationships they just bring extra drama, extra stress, extra worry. So if anything, you're burnt out on the whole dating scene, the whole relationship thing, and you're totally okay being single, because it just seems like more of a burden than something that can be enjoyable to you. And plus, you know, you're feisty right now. You're feeling very feisty, just in general. Feisty in regards to life, but just feisty in general. And you know, when you're like this, it's harder for you to connect to somebody because you're so like, you know. So you may just be putting the whole love life thing on ice for now, until you cool off with your fire sign ass. Alright, let's move on to Capricorn. see what's going on with my Capricorns over the next week. What kind of energy will Capricorn encounter over the next week? Capricorn, you have the Five of Wands, so you may be feeling like you have to fight for something. You're in competition with someone or people, some things. Perhaps you and the people that you are dealing with on a regular basis, i.e. friends, family, co-workers. Perhaps there's a lot of conflict going on between you and these people. Understandings, you're really having to fight for your place and kind of, stick up for yourself, defend yourself. But you may be involved in a situation where you feel like you have multiple competitors and it has you inclined to just walk away. Because I think some of you would rather just walk away than fight and lose. I don't know if that is the best action to take. It really depends on the situation. Because say this is an argument that's getting kind of crazy, it's good to walk away from stuff like that for a while and then come back to it when everything's more calm and whatnot. But if you are giving up on something because it's hard and you have to compete with other people for it, it's probably not the best thing to do, to just give up. Give up on yourself, because it shows insecurity. It's an aspect of yourself that is insecure, and you got to push through that. You got to push through that. Because you're more capable than you realize, but if you automatically assume that you can't do it, then, that's just a pattern that's going to continue throughout life, because we encounter these situations all the time. And if you just walk away when shit gets hard, there's a lot that you can miss out on. There's a lot that you can miss out on, and that you will regret in the future. Alright, let's see what's going on in your love life, Capricorn. What is going on in Capricorn's love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Capricorn encounter in their love life over the next week? We have the Nine of Swords. So it looks like things may be a bit difficult in regards to your love life. If you are in a relationship, you and your partner have been having a difficult time lately. A lot of arguing, miscommunication, insecurity, doubt, you may be at a place where you aren't really speaking to each other because you guys have been arguing, but even not speaking to each other is just as hard as it is to deal with the arguing, because you have so much love here. You don't want to have these negative feelings toward your partner. You don't want to be arguing. You don't want the situation to be like this. So it's really difficult for you to deal with. It's really stressing you out. Some of you can't really sleep very well, having a hard time eating. It's a very difficult and heartbreaking situation for you that you're really trying to get through. If you're seeing someone, you may just be feeling really, really insecure about your relationship, and you may think that, they're seeing other people. It's important to have a conversation about this, especially if this is the beginning stages of relationships, because, typically, when you're first starting to date somebody, if there are multiple options, you explore your options. You're not committing right away. So you need to figure out if you're on the same level, because a lot of people are like that, and then there are the people who focus on one person at a time that are really caught off guard and hurt by this when they figure it out. So it's best to kind of be on the same page when you start out, so it's not as devastating later. You can decide whether or not you want to continue moving forward, getting to know this person, etc., or just, count your losses and move on to somebody that, you know, doesn't have multiple love interests. But also be careful that your insecurity isn't getting to you to where you are thinking that your partner, since your partner has multiple people that are into them, that they are engaging with those people romantically, because that assumption could really cost you, it could cause a lot of problems and really cause a loss of a relationship. If you're sitting here thinking this person is messing around with all kinds of people because all kinds of people are into them, and then you start acting all types of ways because of that, you could really be self-destructing and shooting yourself in the foot, because just because somebody has a lot of people that are into them and desire them and want them doesn't mean that that person is following up on all of it. It doesn't always mean that. So just kind of, the conversation just needs to be had. It's a hard conversation, but, you know, it's better to deal with it now than later. If you are single, you are really just working, you're dealing with the heartache from the past. You're not over the previous relationship that has ended. Perhaps there are multiple relationships that have ended in the past that you haven't really dealt with how you felt about it because you were just so busy trying to move on to the next one. And now it's coming to you. Now it's coming to you. And it may be making your perception of romance and love kind of negative. That's something you need to work through, because just because it doesn't work out with a handful of people doesn't mean that real relationship, you can't have a real healthy relationship with somebody. It just means you got to be patient and you got to wait it out and not settle. Let's move on to Aquarius. What is going on with Aquarius over the next week? What kind of energy will Aquarius encounter over the next week? What's going on with my Aquarians over the next week? What's going on with my Aquarians over the next week? I just need one card. We have the Four of Wands. So you're extremely focused on your family, your home life, your literal home. Perhaps you're doing like construction. Some of you may be moving into a new home, visiting family. You're just really focused on your stability and attaining it if you don't already have it. Either maintaining it or attaining it. You're really focused on your stability. Things may have been very difficult for a very long time, and you're just trying to get back on track, trying to get back into balance. You don't want to feel as scattered as you have been. Something may be going on with your family too, and so you're really more focused on them than usual. Perhaps there's an illness of some sort in the family. Not trying to wish that on anybody, but it could be influencing this focus you have on your family. All right, let's see what's going on in your love life, Aquarius. What is going on in Aquarius's love life over the next week? Aquarius, you have Justice. So here with the Justice card, you know, you may be at a point where you're deciding whether or not you want to commit to somebody. whether or not you want to take your relationship, an existing relationship, to a next level, i.e., you know, moving in together, getting married. And if you've been dating, you know, kind of deciding, okay, are we going to stick with this? Are we going to push forward on this? Or are we going to go our separate ways? If you're single, you are in a place where it's like you've been working to deal with your issues from the past, and you're starting to wrap that up. So you're starting to get to a point where you have your understanding, you're working on your acceptance, and on your way to the peace that, you know, comes from the acceptance of the way things have worked out. But it is also very important through this period to kind of think about how you've contributed to the situation yourself, because nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not saying you did something bad, but, you know, I'm not saying you are perfect and didn't do anything that could influence this. This could be as simple as miscommunications. You know, sometimes we don't really know how to communicate with each other. So it's like kind of pinpointing how you contribute to the problems and working to evolve as a person so you don't continue to make the same mistakes. Okey-dokey. Thank you, Chisholm, for showing up and showing love. All right, let's move on to Pisces. What's going on with my patient Pisces? What is going on with Pisces over the next week? What kind of energy will Pisces encounter over the next week? How will it affect them? What is going on with Pisces? What kind of energy will Pisces encounter over the next week? What's going on with Pisces? What is going on with my Pisces over the next week? We have the Two of Wands. So you have a decision to make, Pisces. You're not really sure which direction you're going to go in or which path you're going to take. You're trying to take everything into consideration. You may even be getting other people's perspectives on the situation. Granted, you know, you're not necessarily going to do exactly what they suggest or whatever, but you are going to take their opinion into consideration when you do finally decide how you're going to move forward. So you may be talking to multiple people, you know, like you may feel like multiple people would have insight on this. And through these conversations, you feel like it's going to help you decide which direction to go into in regards to whatever this is. It'll be different for everybody. Same energy, different experiences. Let's see what is going on in your love life, Pisces. It's pretty simple and direct. So let's see what's going on in your love life. What is going on in Pisces' love life over the next week? What kind of energy will Pisces encounter in their love life over the next week? Pisces, you have the Knight of Swords here. So, some of you may be closing off a little bit, because Pisces, you know, you have a tendency to be very sensitive and very emotional, and you don't want to feel that way. Right now, you don't want to feel so sensitive because you feel like you're more prone to getting your feelings hurt. So you may be kind of walling up and actually coming off very, very cold. You are attempting so much to detach yourself from these emotions that you are succeeding from other people's perspectives. Maybe not from yours, because you're sitting there feeling it, but the image that you are portraying outwardly has you a bit walled up, It comes off as where you're not gonna take any shit. Like if somebody makes you feel some type of way, you're gonna call them out on it. You're gonna be very matter of fact. The only way your emotions are gonna influence it is if they're triggered. So if somebody says or does something that triggers your emotions, this is how you're gonna react. You're gonna react cold and callous and spiteful. Some of you who are dating other people, you're pretty focused on that. Like, you know that you want them. You're being direct about it. You're not beating around the bush. You're not seeing multiple people. Like, this is the person you're into. And maybe you're trying to decide whether or not to bring up the conversation, to bring it, to take it to the next level. Maybe you're trying to figure that out. Or you already know that you would like to, but you still need to get their perspective on the situation before you decide how you're going to move forward. If you're single, not dating or anything like that, I really feel like you are closing yourself off. You are closing yourself off and more so focused on the things that you are trying to achieve in life in general, as opposed to starting and or building a relationship with somebody. You're more focused on achieving your goals and going after your dreams and not letting your emotions distract you. So those are your readings for the week. I hope they resonate for accuracy purposes, and I will see you guys again next week.